Hey everybody, welcome back to Royal Tarot Readings. This is my fun channel that I do for tarot readings on the royal family and current events. All information presented in this video is for fun and entertainment purposes only. It's fun. It's tarot. I'm just a gal with cards. Now today I've got another oracle deck that it's a brand new one, and it was so cute. I just really couldn't resist getting it. And I got it in really for a particular person. This is the Bob Ross Oracle deck, a happy little deck and guidebook. I used to love watching him when I was in the military. After a really rough day, there was nothing better than coming home and watching Bob Ross paint his happy little paintings and just his wonderful calm expression, his little unexpected little sage advice he would give out just right in the middle of a painting. He was a former Air Force guy. He was a drill sergeant, and he said when he retired, he swore that he would never, ever raise his voice again. And he put a lot of his expression and spiritual thoughts into his paintings. So these oracle cards are designed, I think it's by maybe one of his daughters, one of his relatives. I've forgotten now, but they have put everything into it based on the beliefs that he had about just spirituality and positive thinking and that sort of thing. And I thought this would be a wonderful deck to use for a reading on Prince George. Now, I know a lot of people get upset when I read on Prince George, but as he is in Prince William's line, he is the heir, and Prince William is now guiding him and starting to help him understand his role as a future monarch. And that's kind of where I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with 5 different topics, and I'll explain as I go along. So we'll do that in just a minute. Again, this is the Bob Ross Oracle deck. Cute little deck. It's got 40 cards in there. It's a little different, so I'm going to have to use the guidebook to understand what it is that it's trying to articulate. But it's going to be on, like I said, 5 different topics. One's going to be on his role as the future monarch, what he thinks about that. His thoughts on his father as the future king, his thoughts on his grandfather as the current king, his thoughts on his Uncle Harry, and his thoughts for the future. And when I was prepping this reading, the title that really came to me was Prince George, A Vision for the Future. I don't know if it's his vision for the future or a vision just that he has for the future, because whenever I read on him, I get an intense feeling of spirituality. He's very psychic. He's very tuned into the earth. So let's see what we can find out about Prince George. All right. Again, if you'd like to sign up for a private reading, just click on the link in the description box below. I'm catching up on readings. I'm probably going to start cutting them off in December just because they do get a little overwhelming. So I'm just going to try to devote most of December to the holidays, but I'll keep them open for as long as I can. All right. So for Prince George, his thoughts on his role as future monarch. Now, in each of these topics, I'm going to have a positive card and a negative card, meaning what are his maybe hopeful thoughts about it, and then what maybe his fears are, or what he's most worried about. Now, these cards are not read in reverse. If they happen to pop up in reverse, I'll turn them around. So let's see what Prince George thinks about his role as future monarch, a positive and a negative card. His thoughts on his father as future king, his thoughts on his grandfather as the current king, his thoughts on his Uncle Harry, and his fears for the future. We'll say his thoughts for the future. And it doesn't have to be his future. It can be the future of the monarchy, the future of the UK, just what he feels for the future. See if I can get any energy from these cards here. Nope, there we go. Cards are a little thick and sticky, so we'll see what we can get here. Whoops, okay, there we go. I'm getting the energy now. All right, we're going to go maybe once or twice more. Nope, that one's not good. Gotta do it again. Just has to feel right. All right, we're going to go with that one. Cut. Nice solid cut. All right, so for the first topic, it's going to be his thoughts on his role as the future monarch, and we'll put that in the center, positive and negative. His thoughts for his father as the king. His thoughts on his grandfather. I said the king. I meant the future king. His thoughts on his grandfather as the king. His thoughts on his Uncle Harry. And his thoughts for the future. All right, then we have to get the guidebook out for this because it's a different sort of deck. So, oh wow, the underlying energy is the Almighty Mountain, which is the first card in this deck. So the Almighty Mountain gives us a sense of strength and determination, a will to push forward even in the harshest conditions. It has stood strong for centuries and will still be there long after we're gone. And I'm wondering if he's thinking that about the monarchy. Ooh, goosebumps. A sense of determination and a will to push forward even in the harshest conditions. It has stood strong for centuries and will still be there long after we're gone. I think this is the monarchy. This is the monarchy, and that's the underlying energy for this reading. Okay. Wow. All right, so the first topic is his thoughts on his role as future monarch. What do we have for that? Oh, the humble star. All right, let's see what we have for the humble star. And that one is... So the humble star shines for everyone to see their light and to be guided but not blinded by its intense brightness. His heart belongs close to nature, far from the gilded lights of fame and fortune. Ooh. So his role as the future monarch, he wants to be... goosebumps. He wants to shine for everyone to see the light and be guided by them, but not be blinded by him. He wants to be someone who helps guide people. This is, I think, the helper. I want to help people. I want to guide people. He sees his role as the future monarch as a guide, as something for people to see as hope. So, to be very hopeful when they see him and look at him as the monarch. What else? And this would be the positive card, and this would be the negative card, maybe what he's afraid of, or something as he sees as the downside of being monarch. The highlight. All right, so the highlight is light and dark constantly battle for dominion, but in painting, sometimes just the tiniest bit of light will allow an object to stand out from its surroundings. So the highlight allows us to focus our attention of what someone thinks is important. So let the highlight guide you to focus your energy on what is the most important thing in your life. So I think the downside for him on the monarchy, on being a future monarch, is that he will have to find what is most important and ignore the rest. So find the good aspect, the highlight, the silver lining in any cloud, so that he can focus on that to help guide him forward. Oh, how interesting. Yep, definitely a very in-tuned psychic child. Ooh, getting goosebumps, wow. Had to pull down my sleeves. All right, now his thoughts on his father as the future king. What does he think about that? The happy tree. Oh my goodness. Oh my. So for the happy tree, it says the happy tree proves that negativity doesn't win the day. No matter the situation, there is always a moment of happiness and joy that can be found if we take the time to look for it. Oh, he looks at his dad as someone who can always find a positive aspect in any situation, no matter what's going on, no matter what the situation, we can always find happiness and joy somewhere if we take the time to look for it. Oh, that's how he looks at his dad as the future king. Wow. And what's the negative aspect of that? The easel. Okay. So the easel, and that's the puppies in the background. The easel is the structure. Before any masterpiece can be created, an artist must gather the essential materials and supplies, including the base that will hold up the painting. You need a strong easel because we use a lot of pressure. You need an easel to grip the canvas and hold it securely. So the easel encourages us to find a strong support system and hold us steady when facing the pressures of our daily lives. So I think he sees his dad is under a lot of pressure, and he will be under a lot of pressure as future king. And as long as he has a strong, sturdy foundation, he will be strong enough to support and be a support for the monarchy and for the kingdom. So his dad, in his mind, as future king, will always find the positive aspect in any situation as long as he has that strong foundation. He knows his dad needs a strong foundation. He needs that firm, strong home and feeling of being secure for this to happen. Wow. All right, his thoughts on his grandfather, the king, the current king. What does he think about his grandfather? The bird. All right, let's take a look at that. So the bird is a reminder to leave space in our lives for the little ones that make the world so joyful and that bring a song to our hearts. And whenever you hear the bird sing, don't be afraid to join them. So this is based on no matter what Bob Ross was painting, whether it was a mountain or an ocean or a winter landscape, he always made sure that there was a place in there for birds. Remember that your friends, the little birds, have to have limbs out here to sit on. That's what all these little tree limbs are for. They're just little seats for the birds. So he sees his grandfather as someone who can... Interesting. The bird is a reminder to leave space in our lives for the little ones that make the world so joyful and bring a song to our hearts. So he looks at his grandfather as someone who's always trying to find that little space for people who can bring happiness. And that whenever he hears the birds sing, he wants to join them. I almost think he sees his grandfather as like a dreamer. Someone who thinks that no matter what's out there, no matter who you're encountering, it's like finding the good in everybody. But I get a feeling that he views that as something kind of as a weakness as well. Whenever you hear those birds sing, don't be afraid to join them. I wonder if he looks at his grandfather as someone who kind of includes everybody, no matter who they are. And I'm getting a little sense of kind of a feeling of dread for that. Like maybe we should find the underlying purpose before we join them. I'm kind of getting that little feeling there. All right, so what about his grandfather, the negative aspect of it? Oh, goodness, the artist. There's Bob Ross himself. All right, let's see what that says. So the artist, all right, let me get this over here. The artist gives us the license to be ourselves and to explore whatever that means for us. After all, artists are expected to be a little weird and different. Oh my goodness. Don't disappoint people by simply following the rules that society dictates. Be your unique self, however that might manifest, and do the things that give you joy in life. I kind of got a sense about this in this card, that he understands why his grandfather wants to include everybody. Even if it's a little weird and different, he kind of thinks that's just him. So I think that he looks at his grandfather as king. Is there so much of Charles's own personality into the way that he rules? He just rules as himself instead of ruling as a monarch and someone who needs to do right by the world. How interesting. Oh my goodness. Ooh. Wow. What a mature way to look at someone for being only 12. All right. Now his thoughts on his Uncle Harry. The palette. So the palette is about a hot mess. It's a place to load the brush with paint that will soon adorn the canvas. At times, it can look like a hot, colorful mess if you don't know what it is being used for or what the result will be. Sorry, I had to turn off my air. It should go off in a minute. So he looks at Harry like a pallet that no matter how big the pallet is, you may still run out of room. He used to say, well, let me find a place to work here. There are too many things going on. So the palette reminds us that no matter how chaotic life can be, sometimes we need the mess in order to create beauty on the canvas of our lives. So he sees Harry as kind of like that palette that's kind of messy. And he has a lot of things going on. And that sometimes there's too much going on in Harry's life. All right, how else does he view Harry in the negative aspect? The paint. Okay. So, so paint is thin paint sticks to thick paint. Okay, if all the layers of paint are the same thickness, then when you try to put one layer on top of another, you're going to be in a mud mixer. Ooh. And then you're going to be mad at me, so I don't want that to happen. Thick and thin are both necessary for the painting style that he used. So the paint reminds us that in life, there are different types of paint and people, and they're all important. Whether thick or thin, they need each other to achieve success. What are people always saying about Harry? He's thick. I think he sees that his uncle probably isn't the sharpest tack in the box. And he doesn't condemn him for that or blame him for that. He's just a little thick. And maybe he needs to surround himself with smarter people so that he can achieve that balance. Oh, how interesting. Wow. Okay. What does he think for the future? What does he think for either his future, the monarchy's future, or the future of the UK? The Voice. Ooh. So for a lot of people, Bob Ross's voice was so compelling. It was so tranquil. He was a baritone, and he spoke that way as well. He could almost put you to sleep while you were watching his videos. So let's see who's talking here. I used to tell him just to pretend he was a whisper floating across the mountain. Just graze the canvas, caress it. Okay, love the canvas. Very gentle, very soft. So the voice lulls us into tranquility despite the loud clamor of the world outside and keeps us gently guarded against reality, if just for a little while. So I think for the future, he's thinking that if we can just help people feel like everything's going to be okay, even for just a little while, that's comforting. Just knowing that things are going to be okay, by staying calm, we can comfort people in our serenity by keeping our wits about us. Don't look like we're losing our minds, because that's very contagious. When chaos is very contagious, but so is tranquility and calmness. I'm brought to mind of the late Queen in the middle of COVID, her telling her people, it will be okay. We will see each other again. That's how he thinks of the future. We need that spirit. We need, especially the monarchy, to tell people it's going to be okay. We'll be okay. Wow. And then in a more negative aspect, what does he think of the future? The 2-inch brush. All right. So the 2-inch brush, that's the biggest brush usually on that was in his kit. And he said, so often we avoid the 2-inch brush because it's big and we're afraid of it. But there's nothing to fear when someone with wisdom and experience knows how to wield the brush in a way that will create a masterpiece. It's not the brush itself that's scary, but our uncertainty of how to use it. We fear making a mess of things, so we avoid it altogether. So I think what George is thinking is that the 2-inch brush gives us the courage to confront our fears and instead learn how to beat the devil out of that brush and our fears along with it. So his thought is, no matter how scary the future is, if we just confront it and learn how to master it, we will conquer it. Wow! I can't tell you what goosebumps I've gotten in this reading. And all underneath it is the almighty mountain. Just being confident of the future. Being strong and determined and having a will to push ahead even when things are really hard. All right, I'm going to do a wrap up. I'll try to remember what all these cards meant. Okay, goodness. All right, so his thoughts on, let's see, his thoughts on his role as future monarch. For his role, we have to start in the center. It's the humble star. So for his role as monarch in the future, he wants to be the light that everyone looks to so that he can guide people. He wants to guide people in the right way. He wants to make sure that he wants to be a leader and to be an inspiration for people. But he also wants to allow people to focus their attention on what's important. So the highlight can guide you to focus your energy on what is most important in your life. So find that one little shining light that's so important to you and focus on that to help guide you. Now the next one is, how does he look at his father as the future king? And that's the happy tree. So that no matter what is going on, there's always a moment of happiness and joy that can be found if we take the time to look for it. So that's how he looks at his father. And he also thinks that as long as his father has a strong foundation, the easel, it encourages us to find a strong support system to hold us steady when facing the pressure of our daily lives. So he knows that his father will always be okay and have strength as long as he has a strong foundation, and this is going to be his home. And then what does he think of his grandfather as the king? He finds that his grandfather seems to accept many different types of people, no matter who they are. He tries to find the good part of people. And he kind of finds that a little bit odd, but that's just who his grandfather is. He's a little weird and he's a little strange, but that's just Grandpa. Wow. Okay, then his thoughts on his Uncle Harry. He sees his Uncle Harry as a hot mess. There's just so much going on the palette, and sometimes we run out of room. And then he also sees him as a little bit thick. And even though that's okay, he just needs to surround himself with smarter people to help him find his way. And then for the future, he feels like he thinks of what we call the voice. And he wants to be, for his future, he wants to be someone that loves people and provides something that helps them find tranquility. No matter what's going on in the world, if we can just sound confident, sound focused, sound like it's all going to be okay, even if we think that just for a little while, he wants to be that kind of person. And then the 2-inch brush, even though we fear the unknown, he still wants people to understand that we only fear the unknown because we don't know how to deal with it. And that he wants to help people. He wants to give people courage to confront their fears and instead learn how to deal with that, deal with the fears and overcome them, because when you overcome them, you lose your fear. Wow, what an interesting deck. I really love this. I thought this was perfect for George. All right, I hope you guys found that interesting. If you did, please like and subscribe and hype the video. And if you're a subscriber, thank you so much. I really appreciate my subscribers. Hope you guys are enjoying the readings. And if you're not a subscriber, well, please do subscribe. And don't forget to click the notification bell so you won't miss another reading. I will have a very happy puppy video for you following this, so hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you again soon on Royal Tarot Readings. Bye-bye, everybody.